Roll call, please.
Mayor Gibbons,
Here.
Councilmember McLean,
Here.
Councilmember Reinecker,
Here.
Councilmember Schaefer,
Here.
Councilmember Zimmer,
Here.
Councilmember Jack Sadek,
Here.
Councilmember Litzo. Here.
We move to presentations. Do we have any presentations this evening? I understand the Green Tree Committee is here.
Oh, really?
Oh, boy.
Hi, y'all.
Hi.
Um,
All right. All these happy faces here. Oh,
This is just a taste of what we have to come. All right. Good evening, Mayor, City Council, city staff, and citizens of Kirkwood. My name is Ryan Geringer, and I, along with some of my fellow Green Tree Committee members, are excited to be here and invite you all to the 63rd Green Tree Festival. Some of you have probably been to every one. That's not a dig because I think I've been to, I think I've been to 40, so I'm getting there too. So being born and raised, it's been an absolute pleasure the last few years volunteering on the committee, and it's been an added bonus to be selected as the chair this year. So we're no doubt it'll be another great festival year. Without further ado, this year's theme, if you couldn't tell, maybe you couldn't, but is sitcoms. We might all have different interpretations or definitions of what a sitcom is, but to me, it's probably plopping down on a couch, watching, flipping on the tube and watching kind of the weekly show that we all used to watch, whether it's the 40s, 50s, 60s, 70s, 80s, 90s. It's changed a little bit, but whether it's a comedy or drama, or even cartoons or Muppets, shows like Seinfeld, Cheers, I Love Lucy, Roseanne, Friends, Full House, The Simpsons, The Golden Girls, Family Matters, Modern Family, and Sesame Street, which two of the members are here to present Liz with
cookies.
a few cookies.
Oh. How'd you know I needed cookies tonight? Thank you.
I could probably name 100 more, and I'm sure most of you probably remember, I don't know, one of your favorite sitcoms, either growing up or even now. We tend to binge them, so they're a little different, but we're excited to see what the parade participants create with their floats, the different sitcoms, and it should be pretty enjoyable. This Saturday, September 7th, we start the festivities with the Rotary Club in the morning. They're going to run their annual, no pun intended, their annual Rotary Ramble. That evening, we'll have Party in the Park, food trucks, live music will be there. I'll lend myself over to my one of my sitcom members here to tell which bands are going to be here. Then Friday night, September 13th, Green Tree officially kind of kicks off. We'll have the dog show, the Frisbee contest, and of course, the fabulous Motown Review will be burning it down. So as they usually do.
Ooh, dog is gonna be good.
Saturday morning, the full festival opens, food, drinks, arts and crafts, folk life, all open at 9 a.m. The parade will leave Doherty Ferry parking lot up at Kirkwood High at 10 a.m. and will continue on the route that we used the previous year, which goes down Doherty Ferry to Peak to Kirkwood Road and back down Argonne. So keep an eye out for that. We'll also have Kids Day, wine garden, a fiddler's tent, and of course, live music going the rest of the weekend, and all the way from warm Beverly Hills.
Oh, boy, that's gonna be a heck of a shindig,
We
I'm
got
telling you.
Jed Clampett here.
All the way from Beverly
Beverly
Hills.
Hills.
It's good to be with you. I hope you recognize the hat. So, Jethro, Granny, LMA, they're down by the cement pond over by the park where the shindig's gonna, You know the place. It's down there. So this Saturday, Party in the Park, the Boogie Child Entertainment. Oh, they're good. That's a dancing, boot scooting time right there. So everybody make that. Friday night, like Woody here said, the Fabulous Motown Review will kick it off. Dang, that's a party. Them dogs will be throwing frisbee and everything. That'd be great. Saturday after the parade, Falling Fences, gonna be fantastic. A newcomer to our stage, Molly Lovett, a fantastic country artist based out of St. Louis, but now in Nashville is performing. And the Playadors featuring Kirkwood's Joanna Soreko is playing Saturday to wrap it up at 5. Sunday at noon, the K Brothers, and then probably the best band in St. Louis at 2:45, the Mighty Pines. That's a big get for us. So that's going to be exciting. Fiddler's Tent all weekend playing the bluegrass music. We'll be doing some boot scooting and dancing there. And it's going to be great. So y'all come out, you hear?
So that's not all the fun. Sunday, the booths will open back up at 10 a.m. And as Jed said here, the Mighty Pines are going to close us out and we'll end the festival around 5. The entire weekend schedule of events is online, so you can easily go on the website as anyone else can to see if there's something in particular they're wanting to see or do. So we hope to see you all there. We have T-shirts to hand out to all of you. This is this year's rendition of our staff committee shirts, and so gonna put some cheers back.
Double grande?
Thank you
Oh.
very much. Appreciate
That's
that.
classy. Thank you, ma'am.
Oh, awesome. Did you make this yourself on the belt?
Oh, look at that.
I need this to get through the meeting. I missed dinner. Oh, I know, I'm playing. Look at this. I got a Hershey's Kiss too.
Thank you.
I know that, Councilmember Reinecker, is there, he can't, he's got, candy. The new liaison and talks all about how much work you guys put into this. We all appreciate it so much, and the entire community looks forward to Green Tree every year. And it wouldn't happen if it weren't for you all. So thank you very much for being here, and thanks for the presentation tonight, as usual.
What
As
is-
usual, you did a great job. Thank you. Weather, I don't know. Okay. Now we're going to move to public hearings. At this time, the council, let's see, what am I doing? Oh, we'll recess to conduct a public hearing regarding establishing the property tax rates of Kirkwood. Mr. Hessel, do you wish to enter anything into the record?
I would, Mayor. It's rather anticlimactic considering
Yes.
what I have to follow, but Exhibit 1 is an affidavit of publication verifying that notice of the public hearing appeared in the St. Louis County. I will note that included in the notice is the assessed valuation for the city of Kirkwood the previous year, 2023, as well as the current tax year, 2024, and the proposed tax rates for residential, commercial, personal, and property tax revenues. Exhibit 2 is an affidavit of publication verifying those public hearing appeared in the Webster Kirkwood Times. And again, the assessed valuation for 2023 and 2024 appeared in that notice, as well as the proposed tax rates set forth for residential, commercial, personal, and proposed tax rate revenue. Exhibit 3 is the Code of Ordinances of the City of Kirkwood.
Very good. Thank you. Mr. Haas, who will present this issue to the city council?
This would be Mary Sprung, Finance Director of the City of Kirkwood.
Thank you, Mary.
That's going to be a hard act to follow, so. In July, we received the assessment roll from St. Louis County. So these figures that you have in your packet tonight are preliminary, subject to change when we get the final assessment roll that comes out mid-September. So 2024 is not a reassessment year. Reassessments are done by St. Louis County every odd year. The process for calculating the proposed property taxes rates allow the taxing authorities to capture revenue at the same level as the previous year, plus an increase for the CPI index or consumer price index. This year, the CPI index was 3.4%. All proposed property tax rates are calculated and reviewed by the Missouri State Auditor's Office. The city levies property taxes for the police and fire pension, parks, and general government services. Residential assessments, both residential and commercial assessments increased approximately 1% this year. Residential assessed value is 19% of the appraised value. Commercial assessed value is 32% of the appraised value. Residential proposed rate is 45.8 cents per $100 of assessed value. The city of Kirkwood property tax levy historically averages about 7% of a resident's total tax bill. The proposed property tax levy would be about $257 for a home valued at $300,000. Commercial property rate is 55.8 cents per $100 of assessed value, and personal property proposed tax rate is 72 cents per $100 of assessed value. SBD commercial assessments increased to 19% with a proposed rate of 38.2 cents per $100 of assessed value. That's all I have unless you have some questions.
Does the council have any questions?
I have a quick one. Well, maybe a couple. The personal property, those rates are at the tax, at the ceilings, correct?
It's at the
At the
what?
ceiling?
Um, Yes, I
Yes,
believe
all-
we said that.
Yes, all of our rates are at the ceiling approved by the citizens. That is correct.
Oh, if they're at, the personal property is, but the other ones are scaled back because of assessments going up over the years, correct?
They are rolled back per the Hancock Amendment, but they are at the new approved limit.
Right, but we have an 18, like, for example, on police and fire, like, the residential voter approved ceilings 18 cents, but we're proposing the 10.3 because of Hancock rolling it.
Pension is the only one that is not at the ceiling.
Okay, and that's because of rolling it back over the,
No, we had a voluntary reduction. The city has never brought it to the ceiling, not because of rolling back. City never instituted it at the ceiling that was approved by the citizens.
can we do that? Or,
Yes, you can have a removal of the voluntary reduction.
okay,
Could we
You
get
can
those
always go
numbers?
down. You can't go over.
right. Well, that's what I'm trying to figure out. Because like general government, residential, the ceiling's at 34, but
Correct.
we're at 23.9.
That is now the new ceiling.
That's the new ceiling. Okay,
The
But the
ceiling
original
drops with the
ceiling.
assessment. Every time the assessment goes up, the ceiling drops. That's per the Hancock Amendment.
right, okay. So but not for personal property.
Personal property is the same. There's,
Because they're at 18, like on the general government, they're at 34 cents, which was our original ceiling from whenever the voters approved it.
the ceiling for personal property
Under
on
general government,
general government
34.
is current year tax rate ceiling of 34. Maximum authorized levy of 34. Proposed levy 34.
so that one is not lowered because of Hancock. I mean, I'm assuming there's no way to do it, but that's at that original,
I believe that you're correct on that.
and then that would be the same for personal property on parks and police and fire pension. Those ones are at that original voter approved ceiling.
I
Correct?
believe that's correct.
And
yes.
then the new ceilings are due to Hancock.
That is correct. For residential, agricultural, and commercial, that is correct.
So that original, so I don't want to, I know this is jumping ahead,
Mhm.
but do we know, so we will be, say our ceiling for police and fire residential at 10.3, which is our new ceiling. Do we know the impact when the senior assessments are going to be capped at this year's rate and whether or not that
We do
ceiling?
not know that impact.
Okay. But that ceiling cannot, to John's point, it cannot go towards the 18-cent original voter approved ceiling that you don't anticipate. You,
When it's approved by the voters, you can never go over. The city council has the authority to go under. In other words, if the citizens allow us to tax at 18%, you can assess, the city can assess the tax at 10%.
right.
Never can do 19.
Yeah, and I'm,
Because of the Hancock Amendment, when it comes to real estate, as our property values go up, the assessment goes down because it was deemed to be a windfall.
Right.
That the voters did
The
not.
the rate
anticipate.
goes down, actually. Yeah.
So the rate goes down.
Yes.
right, and I get that. So just knowing that the assessments, and I'm sure we don't know how the capping of them for those 62 and over is gonna impact that rate.
We don't have any idea.
But we will, our ceiling at the time that happens will maintain the 10.3 will be our ceiling that we'll have to work within.
I don't know what St. Louis County is proposing, or if the state's gonna pass legislation, Gina. I have no idea what they're ultimately going to implement and who it's going to affect. Because I've not stayed up with that legislation enough
Right.
to know that sometimes they put a cap. If your property is worth more than X, then you're not going to be eligible for
Yeah,
that.
and that's not gonna happen. I mean, they haven't capped it.
They removed the cap.
They removed the cap and they
Mm-hmm.
clarified the age. And the county's starting to take those applications. We have until June 31st or June 30th. So, okay. All right. I'm just trying to figure out, is there going forward too?
Going forward, I'll be glad,
Okay.
we're going to be examining all what that impact is as we get specifics from the county, the state, and how it will be applied within municipalities. And we're going to have to know that for next year. This year is what it is.
Okay. Thank you.
Mhm.
Any other questions?
Well, I was wondering regarding the police and fire pension fund for residential, maybe could we get what the maximum permissible would be? I mean, the reason why I ask is because
I can tell you
It's-
that right
it's-
now.
it's been my understanding that the police and fire pension fund is underfunded.
Mhm.
So I would like to know what is permissible? What's the maximum rate we could possibly?
So the
do?
maximum authorized levy for current year tax rate ceiling is, if I got this right. Fire. Yes. Is a 0.103.
That-
For residential.
That's what it's at now, right?
That's what we're proposing. And that's
Right.
that's what the current year tax rate ceiling says.
Oh, okay, because then maybe I misunderstood in that conversation with Gina that actually it could be higher, but we've chosen to levy a lower amount, a voluntary reduction.
Mm-hmm.
But if there's actually some additional,
We're gonna have to look into that. just a
and-
clarification there.
and not to belabor this, well, of course, I don't know. I mean, we have to vote on this. We're voting on this tonight, right?
Yes.
But it's two readings, so this is just first reading. Maybe by the second reading, we could possibly get the numbers
It's a
for the police
resolution.
and fire, police and firemen pension fund,
Mhm.
tax levy, what is the possible maximum, the legally maximum?
Okay.
Based on the fact that, that fund is underfunded, so.
Yep.
Thank you.
Any additional questions? Okay, now we will move to public comments. David, do we have anyone that filled out a card to speak this evening on this?
Mayor and council, there are no public comments for this topic.
All right. Well, hearing no further discussions, this public hearing is now closed. The bill will be under new business in our next reading for consideration tonight. All righty, now we're going to go to another public hearing. Mr. Hessel, would you like to enter anything into? Oh, sorry, the title is Establishing the Property Tax Rates for the Kirkwood Municipal Library. We have our librarian here. Mr. Hessel, would you like to enter anything, exhibits into the record?
I would, Mayor. Again, Exhibit 1 is an affidavit of publication verifying notice of the public hearing with respect to the library tax rate. Appeared in the St. Louis County-an. And again, the year's valuations, the 2023 property valuation as well as 2024 valuation appeared in the notice, as well as the proposed tax rate for residential, commercial, and personal appeared in the notice. Exhibit 2 is an affidavit of publication verifying the same notice appeared in the Webster Kirkwood Times. And again, the prior year valuation is the current year valuation appeared in that notice, along with the proposed tax rate for residential, commercial, and personal. And Exhibit 3 is the Code of Ordinances of the City of Kirkwood.
Thank you. Mr. Hawes, who will present this issue to the City Council?
That'll be Director of the Public Library, Krista Van Herweg.
Oh,
Russ, I
Mary's
think
turn.
Mary was prepared to present.
Oh, Mary was prepared to present. Then I see Krista out there, but we'll go with Mary.
Okay, for the library taxing district, one thing I do want to point out is that the district boundaries are not the same as the cities. So there is a slight difference between the assessed valuations. Residential and commercial assessments for the library district. Residential assessments increased 1%. Commercial assessments decreased 1%. Residential proposed rate is 21.5 cents per $100 of assessed value. Commercial proposed rate is 26.8 cents per $100 of assessed value. Personal property proposed rate is 35.5 cents per $100 of assessed value. The City of Kirkwood Library property tax levy historically averages approximately 3% of a resident's total tax bill. And the property tax levy funds the entire operations of the city or the Kirkwood Public Library. So that's all I have unless you have questions.
are there any questions?
I might. I'm going to confuse everybody again. So in terms of I'm going to the voter approved ceilings. I had asked Russ what they were for the library as well. In my understanding, is there a temporary tax beyond so the voter approved ceiling was 25 cents and then there's a 12.
Yep, there is.
Is that, how is that
I bel-
factored into the voter approved ceilings?
Believe that the temp tax was for a debt offering to rebuild the library in the past, and it's still on there, and it will go off as soon as the debt is paid.
Okay, so because I know for the commercial, it's above the original 20, but 25 cents plus the 12, it's still below. So do we know when that temp tax might?
I don't have the
Ro-
specifics on that, no.
Okay, yes.
It's 8 cents to come off.
2033? Okay. Marvelous, thank you.
Any additional questions? Okay, thank you, Mary. We'll move to comments from the public. David, has anyone filled out a card to speak this evening?
There were no requests for comment on this hearing.
Okay. Hearing no further discussion, the public hearing is now closed. The bill will be under new business tonight for the first reading consideration. Now we'll move to public comments.
The public comments portion of the meeting is an opportunity for the city council to listen to comments from citizens. It is not a question and answer session, and the city council will not respond to comments or answer questions during this period. The mayor may refer any matter brought up to the city council to the chief administrative officer or city clerk if action is needed.
Thank you. David, has anyone filled out a comment card who wishes to make a public comment?
Mayor and council, there are no requests for comment at this time.
Very good, thank you. Now we'll move into the consent agenda. Is there a motion and a second to approve the consent agenda?
Second.
Are there any questions or comments on the consent agenda? All righty. All in favor of approval of the consent agenda, say aye.
Aye.
Say nay. Okay, consent agenda has passed. Now we move into unfinished business.
No, new business.
Oh, sorry, no unfinished business. Move into new business, Bill 11044.
Mayor and council, this is an ordinance granting a special use permit for an accessory dwelling unit for the property addressed as 1325 Lark Avenue, subject to certain conditions.
Do I have a motion and second to accept Bill 11044 for the first reading approval?
Motion.
Are there any questions or comments on the bill?
I have one, Mayor. Thank you.
Yes.
I have an amendment that I'd like to add to this. And if I can read it, is that all right? I'd like to make a motion to amend section 1 of Bill 11044 to add a condition number 3, which reads, prior to issuance of a building permit, applicants shall provide information for the city to determine that the proposal meets the applicable provisions of the International Plumbing Code and International Private Sewage Disposal Code. Then I can, if we will vote on it,
We'll
then
need
I
a-
can explain it better.
Yeah, we'll need a second first. Mhm.
Okay, may I have a,
Paul made the motion, now we need a second.
Second.
okay. Now we have discussion.
Yeah.
And Paul, would you like to just
I would.
go into?
So the house that we're talking about here, in state statute, if you're 3 acres, you need 3 acres for a septic system or a hybrid system. So this piece of property is 2.5 acres, or something close to that, I think. And so they want to add another bedroom. So in the state of Missouri, they don't go by bathrooms, they go by bedrooms that add load to septic systems. So if they're adding another bedroom, which is what this is proposing, what ends up happening is it overloads the system that's there potentially, or the lateral system that's there. So there is a gravity sewer that's MSD that's there. So they have a couple of options, but I want the petitioner to understand that when they come to the city for a permit to build this, that they may be up against thousands to tens of thousands of dollars to add that bedroom onto the property. Because they either have to do a hybrid system that a state licensed septic installer will have to oversee. So it's state, and then it goes to county, then it goes to city. So we can't overrule it at a city level. It has to be. So I just want them to be aware that this is here and it may be an obstacle, so that they know that up front, so they don't get too deep into the weeds and then find that out. So that's what this is about.
Okay, very good. Thank you. Any other?
If I can add to Paul's
Sure.
point, we're not placing any new or different requirement on them. Paul is just pointing out, based upon his own experience, to the applicant developer that you're going to have to comply with this law.
Any other? Yes. Councilman.
Do we, and I think that's great, are we pointing this out to everyone else?
For decades, I've said that you don't have to point out to anybody that they have to follow the law. It's a little redundant. However, in this instance, we have an expert who really, it's unusual And I'll show my own stupidity. I don't know anything about septic tanks and the water flow and all the things he's talking about. So the point being, Mark, is I've been asked many, many times, should we put something in there that says you have to follow this ordinance or that ordinance? And my advice is always no. Everybody has to follow the law. So you don't, it's not needed, but in this instance, it's helpful.
To the petitioner,
Correct.
so that they understand that they don't get into it, get foundations poured, and they have a huge expense.
So if we put this in for this one particular petitioner, should we be doing it moving forward?
If
For
we
every
have an
house.
identical situation to this, then sure, it would be a nice idea to put it in. Are you obligated to put it in? The answer is no. I'll repeat what I said, Mark. There's no reason to put in every ordinance that you have to follow any particular law that may be applicable to that particular proposal. The answer is no, you don't. I'd recommend against doing that. But if you have something identical and you want to point it out, if that's the council's desire, then sure, add it.
Well, and I
Doesn't
think,
hurt.
I mean, this is unusual because there's not probably a lot of septic tanks in
Right.
Kirkwood. And, you know, Paul was not here when that was, brought up at
Right,
the
the neighbors.
yeah. So I think it was just a nice way, since he didn't have a chance to give the feedback at the time,
Correct.
it's a nice way to put it in there now so that we're clear, because none of us, understood it at that level. So I think it's a great way of, again, giving the homeowner a heads up and, you know, making sure staff and all can work with them on it, if they have other questions. But I appreciate it kind of happening this way too.
Last words, or from me anyway, 97% roughly of people in Kirkwood are on sanitary sewer of some type. It's very few houses in town that are on that. So
Thank you.
Okay, so I think any additional questions or comments? I think what we need to do first is vote on the motion, right?
Mhm.
Yeah. Okay, so we're voting on the motion. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, nay. Okay, the motion carries. Now we will vote on the first reading of the bill, of the amended bill, sorry. Amended bill number 11044. All those in favor? Say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Nay? Okay. The bill 11044 passes first reading. Bill 11045.
Mayor and Council, this is an ordinance amending the Kirkwood Code of Ordinances, Chapter 14, Article 8, Section 14-401, one-way streets, to add Argonne Alley as a one-way alley between the east property line of 114 West Jefferson and Clay Avenue in the westbound direction.
Do I have a motion and a second to accept Bill 11045 for first reading approval?
So move.
Okay, great, thank you. Are there any questions or comments about this bill? I'll just make one. This was actually a citizen who brought this up, and I just want to point out that when we hear from citizens, we take it seriously, and this is a good thing that needed to be done years ago, probably. So, all right, we will go ahead and all have our first reading approval. All in favor of Bill 11045, please say aye.
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 Opposed, nay. Okay, Bill 11045 passes first reading. Bill 11046.
Mayor and Council, this is an ordinance fixing and establishing the rate of taxation to be levied upon all real estate and certain tangible personal property in the city of Kirkwood, county of St. Louis, state of Missouri for the year 2024, for the maintenance of the Kirkwood Public Parks, for police and firemen's pension fund, for general government services, and for businesses in the special business district.
Do I have a motion and a second to accept Bill 11046?
Motion.
second.
Thank you. Are there any questions or comments on this bill? Gina, you can't talk. I'm sorry, I'm kidding.
Got it all out of me.
I was kidding. Anybody else?
But just to reiterate quickly that I would like some figures for the police and fireman pension fund numbers to see what is the maximum amount allowed by law for that to possibly consider helping bring the pension fund number to yeah.
Bring it up.
You need that before we vote or
Not to, no, this would
this
be
first
before the
reading.
second reading.
before the second reading? Yeah, okay, very good. Okay, anything else?
You know, if we're gonna, I'd like to know how underfunded it is if we're gonna get that information.
Well,
Yeah.
that would help too, to have that information.
Okay. All right, so for the first reading, all in favor of the first reading for Bill 11046, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, nay. All right, so the bill 1146 passes first reading approval. We'll move to Bill 11047.
Mayor and council, this is an ordinance fixing and establishing the rate of taxation to be levied upon all real estate and certain tangible personal property in the city of Kirkwood, county of St. Louis, state of Missouri for the year 2024 for the operation and maintenance of the municipal library district of Kirkwood.
Do I have a motion and second to accept Bill 11047 for first reading approval?
Motion.
Second,
Thank you. Are there any questions or comments? No? Okay. All those in favor of first reading approval of Bill 11047, say aye.
Aye.
Nay. All right. Bill 11047 has passed the first reading. Now we're moving into Resolution 120-2024.
Mayor and council, this is a resolution amending and readopting the city of Kirkwood city fee schedules.
Do I have a motion and a second to accept Resolution 120-2024?
Motion.
Thank you.
Second.
Thank you. Is there any discussion or questions on this bill, on this resolution?
I
Yes.
have a couple.
Okay.
Russ, so just in terms of process, so all your department heads reviewed these and recommended they stay the same, correct?
Yeah, they're aware of these, of where their rates are and what is proposed, and
Do a
they have
review so
not.
that the next year's budget will be predicated on.
Next year's is going to be predicated on the rates you see here.
And then the purchase power adjustment rider, the PPA, is that the fuel one that the council passed a few years ago? The Fuel adjustment, or is this separate? Yes. It is the fuel adjustment. So that stays at 3.5 as long as the council continues to vote that in. Yes. Okay. And thanks to Kyle. Kyle did come to the work session and walk through his rate, and that was very helpful to have that information and also kind of know going forward as some of those renovations get completed, that is on his and I think the park board's radar to make sure where we need to be with rentals and that kind of
Right.
stuff. So that was very helpful. He did a nice job.
Very good.
And that the
Well, and-
only rate changing is the skating rink
right.
rates. Mhm.
Which, I'll comment on that real fast. That, the skating rink's near and dear to my heart. It opened in 67. I think I was one of the first guys on the ice there. And a little bit of history, before that skating rink opened, they used to use the parking lot at the old water tower by the park. They would flood that for their skating rink in the wintertime.
Date yourself.
And for price comparison, it costs 75 cents for general session admission now, or back then, versus $5 now. So it's way not that much of an increase. And I think I love the idea that it's going to be a flexible rental rate based upon how the prime hours and the non-prime hours. That's a great idea. And, that place has had a number of speed skaters, which I didn't know this till recently, that have gone to the Olympics. So
Mhm.
so
Right.
kudos to the speed skating club out there. And Kirkwood Youth Hockey, kudos to them. They have one of the largest organizations now in Kirkwood, and I think it's the most kids they've had in the program ever this coming season.
Yeah.
Good job, Kyle. Keep it up.
Yeah. Very good. Okay. Any other questions or comments? Roll call, please.
Mayor Gibbons,
Yes.
Councilmember McLean,
Yes.
Councilmember Reinecker, Councilmember Schaefer,
Yes.
Councilmember Zimmer,
Yes.
Councilmember Jack Sadek,
Yes.
Councilmember Lizzo.
Yes.
Moving to Resolution 121, 2024.
Mayor and Council, this is a resolution amending the contract with United Construction Enterprises Company of St. Louis by accepting change orders number 3 and 4 and increasing the contract amount by $160,020 for a total not to exceed amount of $8,285,451.50 for community center renovations and authorizing and directing the mayor to enter into an amended contract.
Thank you. Do I have a motion and second to accept Resolution 121, 2024 as read?
Motion.
Second.
Very good. Are there any questions or comments? Yes.
Another big thank you to Kyle. He came and talked to the council during a work session. Very helpful to have the information ahead of time. This is a large renovation project that I know some days are probably longer than others for him. And there was a lot of unknown, and this deals with contingencies, and the council has had a lot of discussion about how do we look at contingencies? How do we know when they're used and why they're used? And this is a great example of how important they are to the process so that he can continue the great work done over there. So once again, I appreciate his giving us really good, complete information ahead of time. Took some time to come and present it. And again, it helps us, me as a council, and I think the rest, understand the contingency use as we talk about in many of these resolutions. So again, thank you.
Great. Thank you. Any other
To
comments?
piggyback on that, I appreciate Kyle doing the same thing. And when you open up a can of worms like this, you don't know what's all behind walls and above ceilings and stuff. And so this is very much in line in my view. So thanks for giving us all the information we asked for all the time. Thanks.
Any other comments?
So it looks like we have about $115,000 left in the contingency. Are we hoping, praying that that's going to be sufficient?
We are.
Going to be sufficient?
Hoping or praying?
Start praying.
Okay. Well,
Open it up.
that's what I'm wondering, since we've got a can of worms, how big is that can? Yes,
Oh.
yes,
You'll be here.
yeah. Okay,
Yes, we shall return.
yeah,
Yes.
okay.
Okay.
Thank you.
Any other questions or comments? Roll call, please.
Mayor Gibbons,
Yes.
Councilmember McLean,
Yes.
Councilmember Reinecker,
Yes.
Councilmember Schaefer,
Yes.
Councilmember Zimmer,
Yes.
Councilmember Jack Sadek,
Yes.
Councilmember Lizzo.
Yes.
Resolution 122, 2024.
Mayor and Council, this is a resolution accepting the bid of Bell Electric Supply in the amount of $32,007.58 for the purchase of cable and wire for the Sugar Creek substation for the electric department and authorizing and directing the Director of Procurement to issue a purchase order.
Do I have a motion and a second to accept Resolution 2122, 2024?
So moved.
Are there any questions or comments?
I have a comment.
Okay.
Thanks, Mark, for getting us 4 bids. Really appreciate it. It helps me when I'm spending the money. So thanks.
I just have a quick question. Will this be available once we sign off on this? Or we don't anticipate a delay in getting this wire?
These items are in stock.
Okay, so they're in stock and shouldn't have a delay. Okay, great. Thank you.
Any additional questions?
Just one comment.
Yes.
One of the bids that we got, they did not reply to all of the line items.
Mhm.
Yeah.
So looking at this, the lowest bid was not fully completed.
Yeah.
So
Oh, weird.
Right.
that's important.
Yeah. Okay. Roll call, please.
Mayor Givens,
Yes.
Councilmember McLean,
Yes.
Councilmember Reinecker,
Yes.
Councilmember Schaefer,
Yes.
Councilmember Zimmer,
Yes.
Councilmember Jack,
Yes.
Councilmember Lizzo.
Yes.
All right. So, sorry. So Bill, 122-2024 has passed, has passed. Resolution, sorry. Moving to resolution 123-2024.
Mayor and Council, this is a resolution amending Resolution 31-2022 with Fletcher Reinhardt by increasing the purchase order amount by $672,528 for a new total amount of $1,634,884 for the purchase of single-phase pole-mount dual-voltage transformers for the electric department, and authorizing and directing the Director of Procurement to issue an amended purchase order.
Very good, thank you. Do I have a motion and a second to accept resolution 123-2024?
Motion.
Second.
Very good, thank you. Is there discussion or questions?
I would just ask, since Mark's here, if he would step up and just kind of explain this a little more detail to the novice, please. Thanks.
Yeah, this
Just
is,
simply put, the bid back in 2022 contained language that would allow the supplier to increase their price. And so they did. And they did it based on issues associated with supply chain, that's COVID issues in particular.
So now they're coming in and they're obviously more
This
expensive.
is actually the second time that they've increased the price, the second time.
wow.
So Mark, the original contract was for about $3,200 a piece.
422,000, that's correct, about
And,
$22,000 a unit, basically, yeah.
and we ended up paying 11,000 for them.
It's about over 2.5 times more, about $7,000 per transformer now.
Now you've
yes.
got invoices on your desk at 7,900 a piece
Well,
for the 23 you just got.
That's correct.
I mean, did we go back out and bid them again?
No, not these. We wanted these, and if you notice, the delay was about 2 years.
Right.
So this 157 units, we really needed those. That was the first purchase and part of our modernization round. So we accepted that bid with that language, and we are now finally receiving those transformers. The good part about it is we haven't done that process again. The new process, as you recall, has been with other suppliers, rebuilt transformers in particular, where we're back to the $2,000 unit price with lead times in the neighborhood of 3 to 4 weeks.
So you still need, my math is right, you still need 37 more of these.
They're already on that order, and they anticipate shipping those in the next month. That is
Those gonna-
correct.
What are you going to pay for those?
So those would be somewhere in the neighborhood of about $7,000 a unit. That's correct. And so that's embedded in the request that we made so that we can pay for those when they arrive.
How many transformers are there in Kirkwood?
5,000.
5,000.
Is this the higher voltage transformers that you ordered, or?
No, these are distribution
Regular.
systems, 7,200 out in the field, pole top, not the substation
Understood.
transformers
Thank
that are much larger.
Much larger, yes.
Any
So,
additional?
and this is coming out of a distribution system improvement account.
Capital
Is that-
dollars, yes.
So is that bond related or?
No, these are not the bond funds.
Okay, so that's just from your financial.
Cash balance, really. That's really what that is.
Okay, because I noticed over this several years that's been pretty wide swings in terms of how much we funded or put in there.
That's
So,
correct.
Do you have more that's gonna come out of there this year? Out of
More
that
cash
account?
balance
No, out of that
expenditures,
account.
yes, absolutely. A lot of the other modernization aside from the bond dollars now will all be out of cash balance.
Okay, because you got 6.8 was budgeted for this year, so I don't know
Right.
what you've got left, but you've got other things that are gonna come out of that.
Right, distribution system upgrades, that's correct, as part of the program. And the last of the bond dollars are committed to the contractor that's currently assigned to the Sugar Creek substation that's actually started.
Where, Mary's not here, where are those, where's that? Is there a special account for that, the bond dollars, or is that?
Yes, there's a separate account for that, yes.
Okay. I'll ask me, maybe Russ can get me where that account, what that account number is, where the bond dollars are.
Oh, yeah, we can get it right down to,
Yeah, it's in the budget
they're all
book.
encumbered now.
That's correct. All those dollars are encumbered, and that's in the budget book,
Zero.
in the line item.
I mean,
Is there an account number that's?
oh, the account number that you
Yeah.
could just look at. Yeah, there is.
Yeah, there's a 501 account. I didn't, I
Oh,
mean,
120-250-253, whatever.
yes,
Most
Yeah.
likely,
Okay,
but I'll get you
Get
that.
there.
because I know there's the budget
pretty close.
accounts, but then if you've got bond
That's part of it.
dollars that are somewhere else.
They're overseen by the trustees and yeah.
Okay.
But that's part of that. You'll see that as revenue that initially came in last year in an account, and then it's an expenditure that we use for.
Okay,
But,
so maybe
yeah.
if I can have the revenue account, the actual one.
Yep.
Russ can get that for me.
I'll get that.
Thanks.
Councilmember Ledso.
Hi, Mark. Thanks for being here.
Good
tonight.
evening.
Yeah. And thanks for getting back to the citizens so quickly today with that question about lead lines. I'm just wondering, looking at this, if I understand it all correctly, we've got a 327% increase over the term of this whole agreement here. We went from about $500,000 initially for these transformers, and now we're looking at 1.6.
Right, the 422,000 to 1.6, yes.
Yeah. Well, I'm just wondering, I thought I heard you say that it was because of the unusual circumstances that we actually allowed this price quotation language.
That's correct.
Due to the current cost volatility, Howard Industries reserves the right to change prices at any time, blah, blah, blah. Also due to COVID-19, I mean, we do have some mutations of that virus, but we're almost 3 years since the original agreement, right?
That's right. We knew
Yeah.
from our experience and our conversations with all the other colleagues in the country, not just the 54 electric utilities in the state, but in the country through the American Public Power Association, some 2,000 municipal utilities. We knew what the situation was associated with the pole mount transformers and pad mount transformers. So it was clear that if we were going to obtain the transformers that we are now currently getting delivered, we were going to have to do something unusual. And so we committed to get that 157 so that we could have those circuits converted in time for the Sugar Creek substation commissioning that's going to take place in the spring of next year.
Right.
And I mean, that's worked out. Obviously, we've done some other things to augment our purchases of transformers. This isn't the only type of purchase that we made. But if we were going to be in competition with the other utilities to get these, we had to do something a little bit different.
Right. I'm just wondering, and I hoping we're not going to be faced with this kind of language again, but it seems to me that accepting this language, accepting this clause, basically nullified the price competition on this contract?
I doubt that seriously. I would consider Howard to be the supplier for the other distributors as well. And so that same language would apply with all the other distributors. And we have that information to show that the other bidders were using Howard and used the same language. So I think that was a standard paragraph that all of the suppliers were starting to incorporate into their bids. And of course, the distributors were basically at the will of the different suppliers. They had to go with the language of the manufacturer. So if everybody's going to the same manufacturer, then the situation wouldn't change with anybody.
I mean, because of circumstances, we were kind of all over a barrel,
Everybody in the country was, yes.
which sort of sounds like price fixing, but, I just wanted to, my husband, who was in, defense contracting for years, I mean, he read this and he said, it looks like the price competition is really taken out of the whole mix, and you would need to look to qualifications and various other things in evaluating the various responses to the, but I mean, this is all water under the bridge, but I'm assuming that hopefully we won't be facing this kind of a mess again.
We did not,
It was an very unusual time. And
Absolutely.
I'll tell you, this was not limited to just this transaction.
that's correct.
For us that negotiated a lot of business contracts during COVID, this was not unusual. And we hope that we never, ever see it again. But that's what everybody was dealt.
Mhm.
That's where we were.
And to keep the lights on, that's what we had to do.
So, well,
Yes, and I mean, that's the
stay
key.
in business, that's what you had to do.
I get it.
We're fortunate that I mean, again, look at the dates
I
we're
know,
talking
I
about
did.
here, 2022.
Right.
So, I mean, we're fortunate that we're receiving the shipment today, and it's just in time.
Well,
Again,
I-
we've tried some other things, and I think we've been successful with those other things. I apologize for interrupting.
No, I was just gonna, I pulled the ordinances back from 2022. So from January to March, when you had your first realization that it was going up, the Fletcher Reinhardt was at originally $4.99 and they went to $9.62, but you had Gray Bar in there too, who was at $5.26, and they were, then when you rebid it, they were at 1.4 million. So on the March one, you did go back for rebids. The other one was 3 times greater than what their original was, Fletcher. So I think within the first 3 months, it was indicative that obviously the market was
Yep.
driving some pretty tough financials for municipalities.
That's right. And
Yeah,
And
so
utilities.
this was
And
within,
Ameren.
yeah,
did the
this was
same thing.
within the
Yeah.
first
Oh, yeah.
3 months of, after you signed the original
right,
contract.
right,
So,
right after we did the contract,
it-
right?
it,
So,
the other one went up a whole, and there was a third one in there who didn't even respond. So, they must have decided early on that that wasn't going to work for them.
And this is the only procurement of transformers that we had that language or utilized that language. And since then, we've gone to other strategies.
Right,
to
which I
be-
applaud the, rebuilding transformers. and
Yes,
Hopefully they'll have the
absolutely.
same.
So,
similar logic.
just a quick question. So the warranty on the new transformers versus the rebuilt that we're getting? And then the longevity, do you have any, I'm just asking, you don't have to get specifics into the woods.
Yeah, interestingly enough, it's very similar. It's that first initial year when you get the burn-in test, and then after that, you don't get any real additional support at all. That's either with the rebuilds or the brand new ones. So
Right.
that's why we felt like the other strategy was just as good. And we're having some good experience with the rebuild, so that's the other reason why we felt like we could start making some
And
changes
they're available.
very quickly.
Yeah.
Again, 3 weeks, 4 weeks, as opposed to 2.5 years. So, I mean, this is interesting, some of the things that we've had to do to manage through this situation. But I think that we're still in line for commissioning that Sugar Creek substation in the spring, and that's really our main focus now.
Very good. Thank you.
Mark, do you have a ballpark? What Sugar Creek is gonna cost total?
Yep, about 4.5 million.
Is that,
Again, that's about 2 million more than a typical number that you'd see prior to COVID.
mhm.
Wow. Okay. Thank you, Mr. Petty.
Smart.
Roll call, please.
Mayor Gibbons?
Yes.
Councilmember McLean?
Yes.
Councilmember Reinecker?
Yes.
Councilmember Schaefer?
Yes.
Councilmember Zimmer?
Yes.
Councilmember Jack Sadek?
Yes.
Councilmember Lizzo?
Yes.
Very good. Resolution 123-2024 passes as read. Resolution 124-2024.
Mayor and Council, this is a resolution authorizing and directing the mayor to enter into a master power purchase and sale agreement between the city of Kirkwood and Carbone for future energy and capacity transactions for the Kirkwood Electric Department.
Thank you. Is there any discussion or
We need a
question?
motion and a second.
Oh, sorry, motion and second, please.
Motion.
Second.
Are there any questions or comments? Yes, Councilmember Letson.
I didn't look this up, but I wonder if I could get the definition of this cross default amount of $20 million, both for Carbone and for the city, I'm guessing.
Sure, that is basically compensation associated with over or under or short or long purchase that would be with a MISO transaction. So either party could be subject to owing the other party. If, for example, we owed them money, then if we defaulted, that would be on our side. If they owed us money, then they defaulted, and that's the cross default definition associated with this enabling agreement. And, usually those are capped at the amount of the transactions.
Okay.
That's what the other language in it says. Even though you have a default across default amount, it would only be typically capped at the amount of the transaction itself.
Okay, thank you.
I have a question. Mark, what is Carbone gonna do? Are they a buyer or
I
a
can,
seller?
they are a potential buyer or a seller. And I cannot say anything more than that. I mean, I guess it's another bidder and we have more competition to do some things.
Okay, currently, who are we using for that?
A lot of folks, there's a list of over 7 or 8 people, including, say, Ameren Energy Services and their marketing group, or Nextera is another name that you see.
Energy. for
Yeah,
bigger-
Dynergy is another one. Yeah, we have enabling agreements with a bunch of different folks, and it's good to have all of that competition.
You're just bringing another one in.
Yes, sir.
All right.
Any other questions or comments? Roll call, please.
Mayor Gibbons?
Yes.
Councilmember McLean?
Yes.
Councilmember Reinecker?
Yes.
Councilmember Schaefer?
Yes.
Councilmember Zimmer?
Yes.
Councilmember Jack Sadek?
Yes.
Councilmember Lizzo?
Yes.
Resolution 124-2024 has passed. Resolution 125-2024.
Mayor and Council, this is a resolution authorizing and directing the mayor to enter into an amended agreement with Ameren for substation transmission service for an additional $1,980.82 per month for a new total monthly amount of $73,325.82 for 360 months for a total spend of $612,520. It should not be a comma, beginning in fiscal year 2027.
Thank you. Do I have a motion and a second?
Motion.
Second.
Are there any questions or comments?
Yeah, I have the same question. What are they gonna do with this? I mean, explain how this works to me.
I guess has some more explaining to do, like the kids say, right? That's the say. So this is really great. And this is part of the Sugar Creek substation. There's a transmission line that's along Ballas, those tall poles. And as you can see, if you drive down there, some of them are kind of crooked and they're looking, this is going to be a brand new transmission line that feeds the Sugar Creek substation. And we've been working on this for quite some time, and it's going to be great to get this upgraded. We got composite poles, the new style of that plastic pole that goes in that doesn't have a bunch of guys in it. And it's going to be great in terms of reliability because it'll improve the service. So what we've done is actually we've gotten together with our Lutzco engineering team. We've drawn up the prints. And as part of the game, since it is an Ameren substation transmission line, they actually let the contract for the contractors to build it. They're actually going to use our contractor, Black & McDonald, and we're going to get some brand new high voltage 34.5 substation transmission lines to feed our new substation. And that old line that's been up there is probably over 50 years old. So this is going to be great.
So this is just a rental to use the line? or to use the
Yes, that is correct. The fee that you see pays for not only the construction over 30 years, prorated, right? But also, yes, we pay a rental fee basically, or what is a transmission fee in order to have power transmitted over those lines to get to the grid.
Okay.
And
Thanks.
that's FERC established. And what will happen is, once council agrees to this document will go to the FERC, the Federal Energy Regulatory Commission, and there'll actually be a hearing, and they'll discuss the details on the pricing at that hearing, and then FERC would have to approve that, and then we would start to see these bills ultimately for the new expense for the transmission line.
Thanks.
So transmission line is the, transmission lines coming from Doughty Ferry and going through the back over Sugar Creek and up through that area, or down Ballas?
Yeah, it goes down Ballas and actually goes over to Marshall Road.
Okay.
And
so
the
that's where
Ameren
they're feeding
substation
it.
from there, and then out to the grid over what those lines are for the, along the railway, the big taller ones at 120,000, and we have a different connections for the grid. It's an interesting grid.
Yep. Thank you.
Mr. McLean.
Question, when you were doing an upgrade like this, is there any federal grant money that is out there?
No, and it's unfortunate, but since this is the traditional type of wires and poles, there really isn't any dollars for energy efficiency or infrastructure upgrades for this type of work. What we're seeing, and we're working on grants for some other things that we will approach council on for support, but what we're seeing is, unless you're doing things like some solar or some battery backup or some electric vehicle charging, or doing some added expense associated with maybe HVAC system above the typical SEER rating of a unit, you're not getting any extra grant dollars. So you'd have to use these other categories in order to be eligible. The transmission stuff that's typical for generation and distribution systems is not eligible for grant dollars.
Any other questions? Roll call, please.
Mayor Gibbons,
Yes.
Councilmember McLean,
Yes.
Councilmember Reinecker,
Yes.
Councilmember Schaefer,
Yes.
Councilmember Zimmer,
Yes.
Councilmember Jack Sadek,
Yes.
Councilmember Lizzo.
Resolution 125-2024 has passed. Resolution 126-2024.
Mayor and Council, this is a resolution authorizing and directing the mayor to enter into an intergovernmental agreement number 4 between the City of Kirkwood and the City of Glendale for construction of new sidewalks, curbs, gutters, and street resurfacing on East Essex Avenue between Dixon and Sappington in the amount not to exceed of $152,229.20, which includes a contingency of $42,753.98.
Do I have a motion and second to accept Resolution 126-2024 as read?
Motion.
Second.
Thank you. Is there any comments or questions?
I just want to I guess a question. I'm reading this, there's federal grants on this of 802,000, is that correct?
Chris, you want
That's what it says
That's
in the
what it says, okay.
legislation request.
to say that?
Good work on that.
Assuming this is correct. I would just want to say thanks to the city of Glendale for being the lead entity on this project. And maybe on behalf of Chris. Appreciative of Glendale taking the lead on this, handling it.
Any other comments or questions? Roll call, please.
Mayor Gibbons.
Yes.
Councilmember McLean,
Yes.
Councilmember Reinecker,
Yes.
Councilmember Schaefer,
Yes.
Councilmember Zimmer,
Yes.
Councilmember Jack Sadek,
Yes.
Councilmember Lizzo.
Yes.
Resolution 126-2024 has passed. Resolution 127-2024.
Mayor and Council, this is a resolution amending the contract with Lockmuller Group by entering into a supplemental agreement number 1 to engineering services contract and increasing the contract amount by $325,510.50 for a new total not to exceed amount of $533,215.35. for additional engineering services for the STP 5502-610 West Essex Reconstruction Project, and authorizing and directing the mayor to enter into an amended contract by entering into a supplemental agreement number 1 to engineering services contract.
Do I have a motion and a second for accepting resolution 120? Oh, sorry. We need to have discussion.
Nope, we need a motion in a second.
Oh.
Correct. Yep.
Motion.
Thank you.
Second.
Okay, thank you. Now, are there any questions or comments? Yes.
Well, so this is an East-West Gateway grant. I'm just wondering, this additional 300, requested 325,000 and some change, that's going to be paid by by Kirkwood, the city of Kirkwood, or does it have something to do with how the whole grant was constructed, or maybe you can explain what's going on? And there's no contingency in the original 200.
So 80% of that $300,000 you see is being covered by a grant.
Okay, so the additional requested amount is 80% of it is covered by the grant. Is that what you're saying?
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Yep.
All right.
And it might be good for our citizens to know what caused the increase.
So actually, this is not, the 300,000 is not an increase. It's
Oh.
so the increase of 24,000, 620 is an increase. And that's for design, issues that we ran across, just to finalize the design. The 300,000 is to cover construction engineering, which is inspection of the project, materials testing, and filling out, documents required for the grant, like a daily diary, things like that.
Okay.
Any additional questions? No? Thank you, Chris. Roll call.
Mayor Gibbons?
Yes.
Councilmember McLean?
Yes.
Councilmember Reinecker?
Yes.
Councilmember Schaefer?
Yes.
Councilmember Zimmer?
Yes.
Councilmember Jack
Yes.
Councilmember Lizzo?
Yes.
Resolution 127, 2024 has passed. Let's see. Are there any city council reports? Yes, Councilmember Zimmer.
Yes, thank you. Recently, the Industrial Development Authority met for its meeting this year. And a lot of folks may not know what the IDA is. The IDA is one of the city's numerous boards and commissions and has a general focus on economic development. The general purpose of the IDA is to develop, advance, encourage, and promote commercial, industrial, and manufacturing facilities in Kirkwood. The IDA has 5 Kirkwood residents as directors. Recent years, the IDA helped fund Kirkwood's downtown master plan. The board provides the city with flexibility in having the option to conduct various economic development-related functions, such as granting tax-exempt status for financing if the development will add jobs and improve the city, generally promoting development and promoting industries and economic development in the city.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Anyone else have any council reports? Okay, moving to Chief Administrative Officer report.
Yes, Mayor, thank you. First, I'd like to announce that the city received a letter from East-West Gateway Council of Governments Board of Directors today that indicates that the following project, Grants Trail Extension Phase 2, Leffingwell to Holmes, has been approved for 80% funding for a $4.8 million project.
Great, thank you. Great.
That's official.
That's awesome.
We're
Thank
excited
you.
about that. That now completes full 80% funding for the overall $8.8 million project, both phases.
Wonderful, wonderful. Thank
Yes.
you.
Russ, if I may piggyback, I think Chris will have legislation on your next council meeting agenda.
Well,
for
the-
council to approve that.
Yes,
Okay, great,
correct. Thank you.
good news.
Also, we did receive a request for a application for a temporary outdoor promotional variance from the Alpine Shop, 440 North Kirkwood Road, to hold their annual fall swap on the parking lot Friday, October 18th from 6 PM to 9 PM, Saturday, October 19th from 9 AM to 7 PM, and Sunday, October 20th from 10 AM to 7 PM. And this would require an approval by voice vote.
All right, are there any questions? Do I have a motion and a second to approve the application?
So moved.
Okay, got it. They moved on that one.
Yes.
Are there,
Love Alpine Shop, especially the swap meets.
anybody have any questions or? No, okay. All in favor of approval of the application, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, nay. Okay, the application passes.
All right. Also, the city received an application for temporary outdoor promotional variance from Dewey's Pizza, 124 North Kirkwood Road, to allow for outdoor pickup of carryout orders while the location undergoes renovations. The request is to place a table at the front entrance to the location from September 23rd, 24 through October 29th, 2024, from 11 a.m. to 9 p.m. Monday through Thursday, 11 a.m. to 10 p.m. Friday through Saturday, and 4 p.m. to 9 p.m. on Sunday, and this similarly requires approval by voice vote.
Do I have a motion and a second to approve the application?
So
Motion.
moved.
Thank you. Are there any questions or comments? I think, do we have somebody here from Dewey's? Two people. Wow, thank you.
You have samples to hand out?
At the door.
Better chance of passing.
Thank you for coming. Could, just, could
Say that.
one of you tell us what you're going to be doing on the inside? And we all love Dewey, so just curious. And I'm always glad when restaurants continue to upgrade and renovate.
Come to the microphone.
You want to come to the microphone? That'd be great. 20 years? Is that what you said? Wow.
Here's, say it's not true.
It is. So, yeah, our plan is to rip out the booths, strip the bar, strip the side stands, move the beer towers to the back, strip the bathroom, tile floor, put all new flooring in, tile,
Wow.
new floor in the restaurant, and just do some cosmetic work, tile work in the kitchen and that, so.
Big
Wow.
question. Are you still going to have the window that the kids
Oh,
can
yeah.
watch? Okay.
Yeah, but, yep, still have the window.
Okay.
All right.
Sounds
Wow.
very good. Thank you so much
Oh,
for
you're
doing that
welcome.
for our community. That means a lot.
Yeah, thank you.
Uh-huh. Any other questions or comments? All righty. All in favor of approval of the application, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, nay. The application passes. Thank you, guys.
All right. Also, the city received an application for temporary outdoor promotional variance from Proper Cannabis, 10,855 Manchester Road, to hold a grand opening event on September 15th, 2024, from 10 a.m. to 6 p.m. on the parking lot of the property. This request needs city council approval by voice vote.
Do I have a motion and second for approval of the application?
Motion.
Second.
Okay. Are there any comments or questions? Okay.
Just a quick comment. We recently received similar application. Is that correct?
Oh, yeah, that's very correct. I mean, I think there may be some differences.
And that
It's
did
not
not pass,
entirely
correct?
similar.
Okay.
Hear from Proper Cannabis? No.
Okay. Thank you.
All right. All in favor of approval of the application, say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, say nay.
Nay.
This
thank you.
No.
Okay,
this application does not pass.
hold on, let me write down, so Ryan Kurd, Exetic. Simmer, you were nay.
Nay.
Mayor, you were nay, correct? Yes. And
Hey,
Paul, you were nay. Okay, thank you.
Okay. Now
And that concludes my reports, Mayor.
Okay, great, thank you.
Got one thing I forgot.
Okay, go ahead.
I'm
This is a-
sorry.
A council report?
It is. Sorry, Mayor, I forgot to mention, Meacham Park, I promised Harriet I would mention this. They're doing community support for donations for family in need for Christmas. Gift cards, food stores, $25, $50 for Walmart, Target, any food stores. They're going to distribute these cards on Saturday, December 14th at their offices on South Kirkwood Road, or you can mail a donation to them at P.O. Box 220664, Kirkwood, Missouri. They would appreciate anything and any support they could get. Thank you. Sorry.
Very good. City attorney report.
Nothing to report.
All righty. City clerk's report.
Yes, Your Honor. I have two things to report on. First, 'cause this just fall in order, is a scheduled upcoming public hearing. We have a public hearing scheduled for our next meeting, September 19th, for the allocation of $140,000, $140,400 in community development block grant funds. That is also going to be an evening because we are stipulated by St. Louis County on when we got notified on this, when we received information from them to schedule public hearing, to have information back to them and approved. We'll have first reading the same night. So that is just one of those rare times. We weren't given much time for that. So we'll have first reading the same evening as a public hearing. The other item is a report of the September 4th, 2024 meeting of the Planning and Zoning Commission. The following action was taken after a presentation by staff and the petitioner for a text amendment for personal and commercial service use in B2 Central Business District to increase the maximum size of tenant space. A subcommittee was formed. The subcommittee will meet at City Hall in the main level conference room on Monday, September 9th at 10 a.m. By a vote of 8-0, the commission recommended approval of a zoning map amendment from B1 to R5 on the property address as 420 South Clay. A public hearing is needed before City Council. We will schedule that public hearing for October 3rd. And that's all I have.
Very good. Thank you. Seeing no further business, this meeting is adjourned. The next regular scheduled meeting will be Thursday, September 19th. Thank you.
Thank you, Mayor.